Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, chunashumme, washmale. Ohai Gonzaimas, guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal? Hale shuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho gracias, Swami, balli kare aaya. Hosh gal din na sayo khuya mora chivato chi hal jod kali mera khairutan mur. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning on a very cold morning over here in Islamabad. Hello Haji, assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling? Are you feeling cold?
Walaikum assalam. Jazakallah khair for introducing me. Definitely, it's very cold, and I think this is the fourth day that we are experiencing a very intense fog, and especially driving is very difficult in the early hours, in the wee hours of the morning, because you have to put on your double indicator to make sure that there's no accident. But alhamdulillah, these are the changing seasonalities of the nature, and we are getting to witness that and experience that.
It's just getting a little tougher, yeah, you know. So, other than the hazards, I think you have to wear a double puffer jacket, you have to wear a hat. You know, there's so much preparation which goes into for you just to reach your workplace. I think that's something which gets a little annoying usually.
And I think some people really like this hoodie season because they get to wear lots of layers of clothes around it. And especially summers are very intense in South Asian region. The sweltering sun is really, really harsh to be in the open. But Shahzad, since we are talking about South Asia, its culture, its traditions, its norms, so there's one very important aspect that I came across early in the morning, and I thought I would like to discuss it with you and our viewers out there, which is about the cursed crown jewel, and that is sitting in nowadays in the London Tower, which is about Kohinoor. And Kohinoor was one of the most magnificent, I would like to say, the diamond which South Asia has produced. It was crafted, it has changed so many hands, yes, and it is said about it that the diamond has a curse on it because whenever it changed the hands, whenever it changed the power was declining from them. So there was a very famous anecdote and incident. So when it was being transported from India or subcontinent towards the British Empire back in the colonial rule, the boat in which it was carrying it suffered a massive torpedo storm, and there was a turbulence there, and then there was some sort of a pandemic there, and then lots of people died on that particular boat because, you know, it's a closed space and it was a contagious disease. But it reached the shores of England, and from England, when it reached there, so people said that because British used to say that sun never set on the British Empire, right? Yeah. But when that particular diamond reached there, the power from the British hands were dissipated. They were no longer a colonial power. But it is very interesting that how these diamonds or these stones or these rubies, they have a very interesting history, and how so many people ascribe so many meanings to these particular stones. And obviously, based on your stars, lots of people recommend you stones. So there's lots of stories around emerald and diamonds and rubies and sapphire and whatnot. But there was a very interesting conversation I was having with one of a lady, and she said that these stones, they are actually the living being because they have the vibration and they vibrate with your frequency on your body. And she particularly mentioned that they are living beings, and I was very interested in that conversation because I came across a verse in Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to delegate the responsibility or the naibi, I don't know what you call naibi in English, to the human, to the earth, to the mountains, they refused because there was a conversation going on between the mountains and Allah. The earth refused, but man was arrogant, man was ignorant, and he accepted that viceroyship or vice chancellorship, and this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the man. And then this conversation reminds us that yes, mountains do have a personality, mountains are living beings, and I think they also engage in the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Exactly, and in addition to this, you know, this is a very interesting I think, you know, when we talk about stones and everything, obviously people from different walks of life will have a very different belief system as well. But since you were speaking of diamonds and how, you know, Kohinoor just itself might have, you know, curse around it. But imagine people very famously over here in the world say that diamond happen to be the best friends of any lady as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, the only place where a diamond feels settled is actually on a lady's finger.
Oh,
or probably
I think that was a marketing campaign of one of the company that sells the diamond, and I think men are not happy about this
That is all right.
punchline.
There's nothing against you.
When-
but, you know, obviously, this is like a very famous anecdote that people say that, you know, that diamond happens to be the best friend for any lady who's out there as well. But while we are actually kind of talking about it, there's one more thing which I wanted to ask you. And that is that, okay, you know, it is different for people. You know, I am one of those people. I've seen you being one of those people as well, where certainly there are no stones, no rings, no nothing. I think it's just all about, you know, how we can actually strongly ask Allah Almighty and have that firm belief system. But while we are at it, how we do see that people have different mindsets, Haja. So, you know, for example, if I am to ask for a favor from somebody, and if I'm going to get a little bit of it, I'll be like, okay, you know, it was a favor, so may it be a 50% of the favor of whatever he or she committed. If it's not 100%, I'll be like, okay, that's good. But I've seen people now in recent days and time that they ask for a favor and they exactly want what they want. You know, so I'm like, एक तो तुम पहले ही उधार मांग रहे हो और जितना मिल रहा है उस पे खुश नहीं हो रहे हो और तुम कहते हो कि नहीं हमें उतना ही चाहिए, दोगे तो ठीक है वरना हम तुम्हारे दोस्त नहीं है. यार, what sort of a life is that?
Oh my God, I think saying no is an art and not every people know that, and I think I also struggle with that, but I am developing some skills to say no to such sort of people, because again it's about how you surround yourself with people who boost your energy, and I think you should always go for such sort of people who uplifts you, right?
True.
Instead of bogging you down into that spiral of what do you call silence, or that spiral of depression.
But what happens because of that is that people start to kind of feel depressed. People start to feel that, you know,
it's not
okay,
your
you know,
responsibility to
exactly.
heal people out there, right? So if you feel that someone is not, someone is disturbing your boundaries, or it is, disturbing your inner calm, inner peace, so you always have the option to say no, right?
Exactly, and it leads you to quite kind of a lot of difficulties and challenges as well. I mean, imagine Pakistan happens to be that only place where you give loan to somebody, and now when you start to ask for that loan money to be paid back, that's the time when the person who've taken loan will embarrass you and will kind of put you down as well. Pakistan happens to be the only place. Rishtedari khatam. पैसे मांग लिए यार तूने मेरे से पागल मैं कहीं भाग रहा था. All right, but what happens is that you get stressed and there are a lot of challenges, and that's exactly what we were talking about. You know, how to manage stress, especially within a country where 67% population roughly or approximately happens to be youngsters in between 15 to 30 years of age. What do we need to do to kind of build them stronger, make them or give them stronger mindsets? So to kind of talk about this, we're very lucky, ladies and gentlemen. While we will manage stress, we are managing time as well. In addition to that, we're very lucky that we've been joined by a motivational speaker, Mr. Muhammad Abdul Wahab Saab. And Assalamu alaikum, sir. A very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful topic today.
Welcome, Salam. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so happy to see you that both of you are stress-free, mashallah.
Right, alhamdulillah. I think we are managing our stress. It's not just the stress-free, but we are good at managing our emotions, alhamdulillah. But now
Yes,
let's...
since we are starting from here, you know, this is the exact point, and I think it's going to be beautiful. Imagine that whenever I get a feeling that, okay, this might be stress, I never give it a vocal representation that I'm having stress. I will always tell my inner self, well, whatever it is, you can handle it. So, so let's not say it vocally, because I think to myself that when we say it vocally or when we express it, I think it will have more impact on you. Do you guys agree to it?
Exactly.
Really?
Basically.
I think, vocally in terms of, you know, you say it in a louder voice, or you're in
No,
a,
I just tell myself it's okay, you know, you just do not have to say it from your tongue, because if you're going to say it, then handling it might be a little more difficult.
Yes, I think it matters, because
Bye-bye.
human mind is very
Yes.
powerful.
Exactly. You see, I mean, if we go and look what stress is a worry or a tension which continues unabatedly. You do not try to control it, or you lose control over it. You know what happens basically? Since we are never taught stress management, we are not taught techniques how to manage our stress. From the time we wake up until the time we go to bed, we continue fighting against a huge variety of stress.
Okay.
You see, basically, I mean, you are absolutely correct that it is within your control to control your stress. That is called stress management.
Yep.
Because Allah Ta'ala never gives you a tribulation which is beyond your control. Everything can be controlled. The only thing is you need to know the way, how to do it. You see, basically, for example, you come across a problem and you realize that the problem has to be solved by your own self. Nobody else will solve. At the same time, you have to see, I mean, this is really not a real problem. There could be a bigger problem which could have prompted me to seek help from others. But this is something which is quite manageable by me, by my own self, you know. So basically what is happening in our society, as a society, we have forgotten to know, we have forgotten to understand that human beings are supposed to live a stress-free life. They have to keep a smile on face. They have to salute others with nice gestures, with nice salutations. But what is happening, because of perhaps economic stresses a lot, and we have really gone away from religion. We do not connect with our creator. We do not connect. We are always running with the feeling there is nobody to support us. We are alone in this world. The time you realize that God is there and God is 24 hours with you and He listens to you, He cares about you, He loves you more than the love of 70 mothers, you see, then you start having a conviction, you start having a belief, whatsoever come on my way, Allah Ta'ala is going to help me out.
And Allah keeps on telling us as well, Wahab bhai, you know, because you know there's this translation of one ayah from Holy Quran as well, where Allah तुमसे नाराज नहीं है, और अल्लाह तुम्हें इंशाल्लाह आने वाले वक्त में इससे इतना बेहतर देगा कि तुम खुश हो जाओगे. And you know, it's for obviously all of those people who might deep down inside think that we have sinned too much, unfortunately, and that Allah might not be razi with us. I think for anybody who needs to hear this, Allah says it in Quran कि मैं आपसे नाराज नहीं हूँ और मैं आपको जल्द इतना नवाजूंगा कि आप खुश हो जाएंगे. So I think people really need to kind of open the holy book too.
I think, and it's important that, because nowadays we hear this term a lot, that unconditional love, right? And I think it has been used a lot, and it has been associated with the motherly love, because mother is someone who loves her child regardless, because she produced that offspring, right? And also thank you so much, Azad, for saying that. But when we talk about stress, and I think we have been talking about it, that the emotions that we are trying to suppress, and there are lots of emotions we are trying to demonize, is that stress is always a message from your body. And I think deep down you need to delve that why are you feeling that stress, right? What sort of message is your soul giving it to you? What sort of message is your body giving it to you? And why are you feeling it in that particular age? And then again, Allah is Al-Razik, right? The risk is written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our lives and our deaths, where are we going to be born, where are we going to death, cause of death, it is written by Allah. And we have no hand in this entire affairs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think so is your spouse written for you, right? So when you have this deep conviction that Allah has a larger tapestry in which you have to play your role, and entire things are rolled out for you, so I think you can manage that stress. But now let's come to I think a stress and social media, which is an overstimulation with the social media and mobile phones. It is the leading cause of the stress nowadays, because it has added so many unknown pressures, so many peer pressure, the filters, the beauty filters, I mean the fake concept of the happiness that is going on there, how to manage it, how to, I mean, purify yourself, or I mean detox yourself.
And other than filters, alongside it, you know, while we're talking about detoxing ourselves from it, we spoke about it yesterday, now there's Botox too, you know, so let's not just stick to detox. People do not like their own appearances, you know, people want to change their appearances to look good on social media. So, you know, how would you contemplate on that?
Basically, Shahzad, you know, Allah Ta'ala commanded us, connect with me, right? We disconnected with Him and we connected with the world. Allah Ta'ala clearly wrote that if you connect with people, they will never be able to fulfill or sort of care for your emotions. I mean, they won't come up to your expectations. I'm the one who will come up to the expectations you have. So what is happening? Nowadays, our focus has entirely shifted to social media. Our parents need us, but we are busy on social media. We are posting, please take care of your parents, please do it, please do that. I mean, for example, people need our help. We are giving lectures, we are writing about it, but what is happening? We are deceiving ourselves by showing our allegiance at social media. We have a false notion. For example, if I have 1,000 followers, I think these 1,000 followers are my lifeline. Excuse me, sorry.
No problem.
So, if they're with me, I can win the world. Basically, it is not like that. What is happening, for example, when we talk about stress management related to, social media, the concept of time management also enters.
Okay.
Anything, any device,
Overuse of
any
anything.
activity, when it remains within control, it really helps. If you go beyond that, what is happening? We are giving unlimited time to social media at the cost of our studies, at the cost of our professional life, at the cost of, I have seen even doctors these days, whenever get 2 minutes, 3 minutes break, they start checking, for example, what is happening on
Yeah,
social
because
media.
that's, I think we talked about it yesterday also, because the social media and the apps are designed in a way that has this validation loop, right? And they're designed in a way, I'm not promoting any conspiracy theory, but that we start to hate ourselves. So for example, we are posting a post that has got just 10 likes, right? And then we will come up with another content that will get 100 likes. And we're like, oh yes, that's cool. We are getting more likes, we are getting more validation from someone, right?
Yeah.
And then again, in Quran, Allah says that I have created you on the best of the imprints, but yet we decide to listen to people who will tell us that if we are feeling, we have given this power to them, right? If they tell us that we are good, then we will believe we are good, right? We are not listening to our inner self, to a divine revelation, which is Quran.
That's what I'm saying. Social media's world is a world of deceit and fallacy.
And validation.
For example, you're living in a street and you have a family. At times, you got COVID, you got, for example, God forbid, a family member died. Well, your social media friends come to help you out.
I don't think so.
Your neighbors will
Yeah.
come. Your family
Not
members
at
will
all.
come.
Not at all.
Their help matters a lot. At the same time, the social media field or world, it has, it is sort of give and take sort of thing, People do not have unconditional love for you. They are not liking your post. They are not really appreciating you because you are the best person on earth, It is not unconditional love. They're loving you because of something, right?
And I'm very sorry that I'm interjecting, but it's more like that, कि उन्होंने हमारी मेहंदी पे कितने, शादी पे कितने पैसे दिए थे, तो अब हम कितने देंगे. I think it goes for like
You are
for a
right.
like,
Absolutely
or
correct.
comment for a comment.
And then again, validation, right?
Exactly.
You need always validation from them, otherwise you feel incomplete about yourself.
Which is why now I'm going to bring, because what we are trying to establish over here is, what we have spoken now is, and what the examples that you've given is, that it's your support system who's going to protect you from all sorts of stress, because there will be people to help you.
Yeah.
Right? Very sorry. But now there's another example. I don't know whether how relevant it's going to be, but I usually look at the hulk of Allah because of the fact that you get a lot of solutions from there onwards. Just yesterday, a clip came across me where there was this seal chasing a penguin in the sea, and somehow one way or the other, the penguin was smart enough, played dead, and saved itself or saved its own life. Now imagine that whenever we look at all of those animals who are out there, they are stress-free, right? When they're gazing, when they're doing something, they're stress-free. But when the lion comes in, they always make sure that they put in the best effort to save their life.
Exactly.
Now this is something which I have taken away from them, that whenever you have a challenging situation, you need to give it your best rather than sitting down and say, कि यार मेरे से नहीं होगा, मैं कैसे करूँगा? For all of those people, don't do that. So how do you think that we give them this mindset? And the one solid reason of us having this mindset in our generation, me, Haja, everybody else around us, is that we have never seen our father crying. We have never seen our mother crying and saying, oh, we are so stressed and, there's so many problems and whatnot. And in particular, if we look at our region, I think we are doing fairly well than the West as well, where they're so vocal about what the problems are and how they're going to solve them. And, it's just talk and talk and talk and then no action. How do you think that people can have these stronger mindset? What exercises can we do to have a stronger mindset?
Shizad, the thing is, you talked about West, and when we talk about especially South Asia,
all of these fancy terms came out from there, no?
Exactly.
Depression, anxiety, and suicide. and whatnot.
These fancy terms came from them, but at the same time, they are quite organized, they are quite well managed, they are quite disciplined. So a huge variety of stresses they are able to control. What they cannot control.
Sir, I disagree over here.
Yeah,
No,
you get disagree.
You might say that they're disciplined, but imagine everybody's living off credit, right? So this is one
right.
thing which actually kind of contributes to their
Yeah,
stress
but-
almost every single day.
Exactly.
You know, their houses are on mortgage. You know, their cars
Yeah.
are on mortgage. You know, there's so
but,
many
but
things.
they are used to living that very luxurious life, and I don't think so that's a stress for them. But I think generally their wellness models are collapsing because they're very
Yeah.
materialistic in the sense,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
they are just far away from the spirituality, from the religion, because they have just dehyphenated religion from their life, and
Yeah.
then they are looking towards the east to have those wellness models, be it meditation, be it yoga or Sufistic traditions. You used to find lots of terms there going there to the west, and they are dealing with that, right? And I think we are lucky in a sense, especially in the South Asian region or in Pakistan in particular, that religion plays an important part and role
Right.
in our lives, right?
But let me introduce
Sure,
you
sure,
other side of
Sure.
the picture. Take the example of a household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A family is supposed to, a mother or father, they're supposed to wake up 5:30 in order to send the first child to school at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
But I mean, they won't fix alarm, and they would perhaps wake up 6:30. Mother will be stressed out, father will be stressed out, child automatically will be stressed out.
True.
The van would be
time.
just in front of the door,
House, yeah.
anxiously waiting and giving horns. You see, when we are on the road, for example, if you have to, today the morning was quite foggy and cold,
Yeah.
you have to calculate that in normal sunshine days, if it takes 20 minutes to reach PTV, it might take 40 minutes.
True.
We never leave early.
Yeah.
We leave our homes, our places at the 11th hour,
Yeah.
right? Whatever we have to do, we try to do. For example, when we have exams, we do not start studying 6 months ago.
Yeah.
We hardly start studying 2 days ago, and we remain awake the whole nights.
Yep.
When we are sitting in the paper, we are
We're
just
sleeping.
half asleep. You
Exactly,
see,
that's true. You know,
the
so time
same-
management.
The same thing happens throughout our life. So basically, what are the techniques?
Yep.
We have to introduce discipline and organization in our life. Please try to do things right on time. Do not put off things till tomorrow.
Don't
If you
procrastinate.
have got utility bills, day after tomorrow is going to be the last day, and there are huge fines these days. So please try to pay those bills
Right.
today. At the same time, if your car requires some maintenance and you are going to travel on highways or motorway, try to do its maintenance before.
Stitch in
When-
time saves 9. Yeah.
Yes, when you're leaving in the morning, try to check air pressure in your tires and check whether have you got mobile oil left in your car.
Yeah, because that gives you a mini heart attack
Or not. Right in the middle of the road, you're standing. I mean, there are many people who do not check their stepneys when they get a flat tire.
We get your point. I'm sorry I'm interjecting because there's a paucity of the time and we really want to jump towards this, how to de-stress yourself, because
Right.
nowadays there are lots of dopamine fixes, you know, where you quickly get the happy pills and then gives you a very quick fixes and a very high rewards, but this is not a fix, right?
Yeah.
You are just treating your trauma with a bandage and it doesn't
Right.
work, right? How to detox yourself from all of these dopamine, these happy pills which are so readily available in the market.
Yeah. And
That's right.
unfortunately, not good as well.
Obviously.
As I said, connect with your creator, connect with God, right? Always try to keep a confidant. You have to have a person to look towards whenever you are in trouble. Basically, we commit a blunder, we do not have one, right? The person who you think that he will or she will give the best advice on earth. I mean, try to have, for example, there are children who only commit to studies. Every person, whether a grown-up child or a housewife or a working person, he or she, they need to have some free time where they can really have some recreation. So every day, try to give at least half an hour to yourself. Everyone likes tea or coffee. Try, whenever you are stressed out, when you are freaked out, try to have, just take longer breaths, right? Give your mind signals that, I mean, nothing is uncontrollable. Allah is with you. Try to be polite with people.
Yes.
Try to exercise. Try to walk every day. Try to have some gym exercises. At the same time, when you treat people well, when you are polite, when you are really, I mean, try to show that you are friends, you will get friends.
True.
And when you have a friendly environment, there might be quite less chances of being, I mean, stressed out or freaked out.
True.
At the same time, what we have to do, I mean, we have to have some recreational activities. For example,
Oh,
book
yes.
reading. There are many people who really feel good if they read before going to bed.
Playing with your kids.
Playing with your
Playing
kids.
with your pets.
I
Exactly.
mean, whatever makes you happy, just
Yeah.
make a list
Music.
of it, right?
I mean, for
Yes.
example, I mean, you always have a sort of
Yeah.
a trend towards
See, I'm
good
de-stressing
music
already.
of your own choice. Yeah, listening to that music even for 15 minutes might refresh you for next quite many hours. But at the same time, do not lose connection with your creator. If you are praying 5 times a day, you are associated with Quran, it will give you inner peace. It will give you
That
a
I'm doing
sort of
something right.
energy. It will
Yeah.
give you positive energy. Let me tell you, whatever worldly things you commit to or you engage in, they will give you timely pleasure, not permanent peace.
Yeah, and manage time as well. But thank you so much, sir, for
Thank
being
you
with
so
us.
much.
Lovely to be in conversation with you.
Thank
We
you
hope
so
that
much.
we manage time wonderfully well today.
We all have to try.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But very quickly, you know, everybody will have their own solutions for all sorts of problems. But my 3 quick fixes for stress, these 3 multiple questions. And number 1, manifestation. The power of manifestation, always believe in it. Whatever you're going to think, only that's going to come to you. Number 2, there cannot be one solution for all the problems. Just like people think that money can buy almost everything, any issue money can
Yes.
It's
solve,
not. It's
that's not it. You know, you really need to use your brain. And number 3, whatever is going wrong in your life, just think about it. If you can control it or if you can change it. If you can, do whatever you can to change it. If you cannot, just ask from Allah Almighty to fix it for you. I think these are the 3 things you need to do to give it a quick fix, and it's going to be there for a longer period of time.
Right, and with that, we are going on a short break, and after we come back, there's an interesting discussion lined up. Don't go anywhere.
हाँ, परेशान जिस वजह से होते हैं.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, we were talking about the stress management, de-stressing and dopamine fixes and how to do dopamine detox and all of this conversation, and that was a pretty interesting conversation. But after the break, so now we have a very interesting topic because we're going to explore what our citizenship means, and that too at the intersection of law, how we can have a more responsible citizenship here in Pakistan in a more legalistic sense. And obviously every citizens around the world face some of the legal challenges, and how to address all of those legal challenges, especially for the common man, because the language of the law is not very easy to grasp and grapple, because there are so many technicalities into it, right? And for the common person, for the layman, it's not a very easy read to absorb in the first place. So how do we answer to all of those challenges, and what sort of a solutions do we have? So we are very glad that we have been joined by someone in the studio who's going to make all of these things easy for us, especially in comprehending of all of these legalistic challenges that we face in our country. We are very glad that we have been joined by one of our very best lawyers. He happens to be Humayun Chattha. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our
Thank
show.
you so much, sir, for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. And
My pleasure, sir.
And let's get started. You know, because one of the core reasons of why people get stressed, you know, in today's time is, you know, we stepped outside, you know, we were going to work, there's a challan out there. You know, we go somewhere, you know, our bag has not arrived, you know, something, you know, so one way or the other, you know, where we do see that life can actually be seamless, it can be perfect, there are a few hurdles that we're going to get to witness. So as a Pakistani citizen, what sort of, or how do you think that the law protects us from all of these evils that exist against us outside? Please, let's get started with that.
There are, I think all the problems have remedies.
Okay.
The basic problem is we as public don't know which remedies are available to us. And we usually we hesitate, or sometimes we do have problems in our system as well.
Yep.
We have a lot of hurdles when we go to courts or other government departments. As you are saying about challans, let's say, if a police officer give you a challan, so it is written on the challan that if you don't want to pay it, you will have to appear before the magistrate on date also mentioned on that challan.
On the challan.
You can clear yourself before the magistrate. You can say that if you actually haven't done anything wrong, so that can be explained to the magistrate.
Okay.
Most people don't know, they hesitate, actually they don't go to magistrates, they think that they need to hire a lawyer, but as far as challans are concerned, you don't need to hire magistrate.
Exactly.
And I think, Shahzad, you would agree with me in the sense here that there is a debate in the third world countries generally that our system is designed in a way that serves the elites, not the masses, right? And there are lots of structures, there's lots of bureaucratic institutions, or I would say bureaucratic hurdles that make it not very easy or accessible for a common man to have the access towards all of those structures which are in their place to serve the masses out there, right? And especially as a lawyer, so what sort of legal reforms do you believe should be there in our system in order to improve it and make it more accessible to the masses?
Yes, they call it bureaucratic red tapeism.
Yes, yes.
And that is prevalent in third world countries and especially in Pakistan. One of the biggest hurdle is corruption.
It's a legacy of colonialism,
Wherever
right?
you go, they ask you for money.
Okay. Yes.
And I think that is where
Bribery or rishwat, yeah.
Bribery. They ask you for money, they ask you for bribery, and people start hesitating going to those offices. There are solutions, but the thing is that if a common man who is earning bread for his children, he don't have that time to go to the departments and go from one department to the other department. So that's where we as a nation lacking. I think we should be better prepared, or there is another aspect to that, and that is the social harmony, I think. If your family or your neighbors, they support you, like if you are facing any kind of problem, there are 10, 20 people who can support you, who can go with you, that can also be supportive for the public.
But that's not what, the best case scenario is. And the problem is, since we have spoken about traffic police and the other problems which Haj have pinpointed over here, now, towards the end of the day, it's only you. These days, that's not the trend. You call a friend, a lot of your friends are going to come over, everybody's busy. Now, the systems really need to be smooth. Imagine that you're just roaming around probably at midnight. Now, and then there's going to be a police officer who's going to stop you for no reason. Sir, gaadi check kara de. Oh, bhai, kyun check kara de gaadi? So how do you think that the law protects any Pakistani out there? What do you think we can say to them? Because they certainly will not listen to us. They will book us, in fact, under a case. They will take us to the jail, and they're going to put us behind the bars. So we do not, I've never seen anybody exercise their right. So what right do we have over here? In fact, I've seen lawyers telling the police officers कि बेटा तू अभी अंदर लेके गया ना तो देखी तुझे मैं सुबह फिर कोर्ट में कैसे घसीटूंगा. Yeah, I've seen lawyers do that. Unfortunately,
that's the point. You have given the answer.
Yeah.
So there are institutions, there are departments who deal such kind of, I would say, illegalities, and you should know about your rights, and you should know where to take them. So that's the problem. Actually, people.
So what do you think we can say to anybody? What do you think that we can say to anybody if somebody stops us on a police checkpoint? What are we supposed to do? Do you think that we need to abide by the law by letting them or allowing them to check our cars, to check our NICs? What does the law say?
Being law-abiding citizens, police has the right to search your cars if they have
only cars or us as well?
Suspicion.
Only cars or us as well?
If they have reasonable suspicion.
उनके पास हर वक्त suspicion होती है. उनके पास और उसके अलावा क्या है? That's police.
So that's the problem, sir.
Yeah.
So you have to you should cooperate with the police officers, but if they're crossing the line, so that's where you should ask them to stop.
Okay.
You stop cooperating with them,
Yep.
and you tell them that you will avail all the remedies which are available to you.
Okay.
You can go to the court, you can go to the high officials.
Wonderful.
I know there are problems. Let's say if you go to the police station or to go to the police officer, they might not meet you.
Okay.
They might not take application from you, but courts are there. You can go to the courts.
Wonderful. So now from police, I'll take you to another institution. A government body, any development authority, you go to their office, you're like, okay, sir, I want to build my house. This needs to be done. I have all my paperwork. What do I need to do? And the gentleman very sweetly will tell you, 50,000 rupees de dena.
Yeah, we talked about bribery.
Yeah. So we spoke about it, but what's the legal channel? How do you think we can solve it? Because imagine, even if you're going to go to the higher up, everybody's involved in it. How do you think that you kind of get this very loop of, bribery and everything you get out of it?
So that's what I was telling you. We need to raise voice. it's matter of public awareness.
उनका हाथ उठ जाता है उनका फिर जब आप आवाज उठाते हैं ना उनका हाथ उठ जाता है फिर आप कमजोर हो जाते
No,
हैं.
that won't be possible.
Yeah.
Let's say if there are 1,000 people on one side and one person is sitting on a chair, he won't be able to deal with 1,000 people.
It's my own example, you know. Even till now, you know, Naksha nahi pass hua, bhai. I'm saying I'm on television myself. I've been to those offices myself. The people, the gentlemen, they ask for money. I cannot pay them that money, and I stand by my rule that okay, you know, you're supposed to be here to serve me. You know, rather than creating difficulties for me, any person who works for the government is there to serve the people of the country. Rather, what they think is that the people of the country are their servants.
And
Unfortunately,
I think justice is very expensive because there's a famous saying, justice delayed is justice denied, right? And all of these hefty charges. So what is the solution to the common people who are poor, who are destitute, who can't afford very hefty lawyers or very hefty charges? How do you support them? Because I think if in those marginalized communities, if in those destitute communities, if you cannot offer justice, so that's a mockery of justice in the first place.
So that's what I was discussing actually, that we need to reform the whole legal system.
okay.
I
example?
agree with you, it's very expensive.
Oh, yes.
If you want to hire a lawyer, let's say, as you were saying,
Chattha Saab,
police
for
has
example.
done something wrong with
Chattha
you.
Saab, can you please take my case? Chattha Saab's got bigger fees, right? You know, who's going to pay the fee?
But I'm available to you as far
Thank
as
you
your
so
map
much.
is concerned.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Please continue.
We need to reform our legal system.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's where the responsibility of every citizen come. We need to raise our voice. We need to raise our voice against corruption. Corruption is an acceptable norm in our society now. We don't we don't show displeasure to our relatives even. If someone from your family is taking bribe, you don't ask him, you don't call him out. So that's the problem. Everyone, you know everyone in your community, in your relatives, in your street, in your city, that this person is taking bribe and you don't call him out.
True.
So that's where the problem lies.
And not just that, you know.
We
one
encourage
of-
actually.
Yeah, obviously, one, we have to call them out. Number two, if we all one day start to kind of practice the law the way it is, I think things will change. You know, for us people, you know, to be, you know, out there as civilians, as Pakistanis, as the people of the country, if all of us are going to abide by the same rules, I think everything's going to change all of a sudden like this. But that's not going to happen, right?
Sir, there are many examples of that. If you are on the road, if you follow traffic rules, you will see tomorrow you will see a very big change in Islamabad.
True. Exactly. No, but Islamabad,
But-
alhamdulillah,
but-
traffic
Every
is
will
already
become
good.
disciplined. Other cities.
But we
But-
need to
but-
appreciate,
call Lahore or other
over here. I
cities.
think I would love to appreciate traffic police over here. You know, they've done a phenomenal job. I would love to appreciate motorway police. They've done a phenomenal job, you know, by far. I think there are so many other institutions who've actually done some wonderful jobs as well, and they really need to be appreciated for that. It's not that while we're discussing it, that everything, unfortunately, you know, falls under the umbrella of corruption or something of that sort. But there are institutions who are doing
And
wonderful work.
definitely there are success stories, but because of the paucity of the time, you know, let's keep a conversation on the reforms. So what are the main areas where do you believe that reforms are needed that can help the common people out there? Masses
justice
out there?
For the dispensation of justice.
Yes, of course.
These are basic questions. One, the basic premise I think which needs to be work is regarding courts.
Okay.
The courts should be accessible. First thing, no one should hesitate or think even before going to the court. And second is, it should be corruption free. If you know, you should have your confidence on courts. If you're going to the court, you will get justice. So, and with that, you need to work on the eligibility of your judges or the people who are working in the legal system. They should be capable, they should know law, they should understand the problems of the people. So there are many things which need to be done.
And let's talk about also because of the family issues or I mean, let's talk about the ADRs because Shahzad mentioned that there are lots of success stories that we need to appreciate.
True.
All it's not gloomy and doomy like there are lots of people who are trying to project here. So ADR centers, alternative dispute resolution centers in which the common people, the masses can go there. So do you believe that there's a need to expand the scope of the ADRs at a massive level because they're operating at I think few places in Islamabad, in Lahore or maybe in some other place?
Government is already working on it.
Right.
Yeah, they've
And
constituted
they
an ADR
have
center.
established ADR centers in Lahore and different cities.
Yep.
Yes.
And lawyers are
Trainings have taken place
getting
already.
training regarding
Dispute Resolution, yes.
alternate dispute resolutions. So I think that is the good. It's cost friendly.
Yes, yes.
The first thing, then it'll save your time.
That's true.
Then you have a lot of room to decide according to your wishes. Generally,
Environment is very friendly in general.
courts have certain laws to be followed in a strictly manner when they're deciding. But when you are like sit on the ADR, you can decide according to your own wishes. Like let's say there are two persons, they can say, okay, you can keep this, I will keep this.
The
So
environment is
let's settle this
non-hostile.
matter.
Yes, yes, yes. So you can have the cup of tea with the biscuits, which you hardly get in the courtrooms, right? And then you can decide. Mostly it's related to the marriage disputes and related to the divorce. But thank you so much for coming here, Chata Saab, and for having
Thanks
this discussion.
And you know, Haja, for everybody who's out there, I think it's mine and your responsibility collectively to fix this system. You know, so imagine that if I'm standing in a long queue and all of a sudden there's this gentleman who's going to give me protocol who's supposed to do that, and if I'm going to jump the queue, ladies and gentlemen, don't expect that anybody else will be following rules as well.
And I
so
think
please make sure that you stand in the queue. You stay where your number is. You know, do not take any sort of privilege just because of the fact that you can take it. You will see the society changing.
right, and I think there should not be any queue in the first place because it should be an easy and non-bureaucratic, right?
Yeah.
But with that, we are ending our show. Until next time, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good morning.
Say no to VIP centers.
Yeah.